Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Jedi Modi Sports Betting. In this video, I'm giving you my favorite bets for the play-in games tonight. Game 1, we have the Heat hosting the Bulls. The Heat obviously lost their first game against the Hawks, also at home hosting the Bulls, who had an impressive comeback victory against the Raptors as the away team. Now they have to travel to Miami. The other game we have are the Timberwolves hosting the Thunder. Timberwolves obviously roiled in a little bit of controversy with missing some of their best players in Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels, at least in terms of defenders, obviously not in terms of talent. And then obviously the entire thing with Rudy Gobert, a little bit crazy as well. Hosting the young Thunder, who beat the Pelicans in their first playoff game. Two games that I do think should be fun. I really enjoy watching the Thunder play. The Heat Bulls maybe won't be that fun to watch in terms of like high-flying offense, but two gritty defensive teams that have pretty talented scorers in Jimmy Butler and DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine as well. But for this video, like I said, I'm giving you my best bets. I have 3 for you guys that I have already locked in that I really like. The first one I found using the oddsjam positive expected value page. And what we're looking at here is DeMar DeRozan to go over 22.5 points. This is at even money plus 100 odds at Caesars. Number one, we got to talk about the profitability here. I found this on the EV page, as I mentioned, with the oddsjam perfect line pricing this at about minus 104.5, essentially minus 104. And we see these Novig odds, this column here. These odds are so powerful because they're pulled from the sharpest sportsbooks in the world. The sportsbooks that consistently do the best job. oddsjam tracks all this information, calculates the data of who are considered to be the best sportsbooks, and then removes the VIG using a weighted average to spit out these odds that you see here. So you can view these odds as the perfect line of what a market should be priced at. And then we're getting this at plus 100 at Caesars. So the gap you see here between these two numbers, that is where your profitability comes into play. Now, for player props specifically, I try to be a little bit more selective, meaning I do a little bit more digging than I would a normal game prop. And when I say digging, I just mean like look into where the other sportsbooks are pricing a play at. Plus 100 is the easiest odds to determine whether you are beating the closing line of the majority of sportsbooks or not, because it's even money. Literally just look at where sportsbooks price a market and what side they have as the higher number. We see majority of these books, except for 2, DraftKings and Betway, have the over as the more expensive play. That is a sign that these sportsbooks are telling you they think the over is the more likely scenario, so they're making it more expensive. FanDuel, WinBet, Bet365, BetRivers, BetOnline, FoxBet, Pinnacle, and PointsBet all have the over as the more favored outcome, which is them telling you they think he's more likely to go over. Now, obviously, the risk here is that DeMar DeRozan is obviously playing on his second away game in 3 nights. Not that it's a back-to-back or anything like that, but maybe he has a little bit tired legs, especially considering they had to come back against the Raptors. Heat also have a very good defense. Where the Heat struggle on defense is giving up 3-pointers, but that is not something that DeMar DeRozan is obviously going to take advantage of. Now, DeMar did go over this total against the Raptors, who also have a good defense. He's playing for his daughter, who has been giving him inspiration. So I do think that there is some value here. Obviously, the most important thing is looking at the math, the data, where the sportsbooks have it priced. I do just personally, as a sports fan, enjoy looking into the matchups as well. But play number 1, we are going with DeMar DeRozan over 22.5 points, plus 100 odds at Caesars. Play number 2, we are sticking with the Bulls versus Heat. We are going to the player assists market, and we are locking in Jimmy Butler to go over 6.5 assists. This is at plus 136 odds at FanDuel. So this is a play that I bet for the first game, the play-in game. Jimmy Butler to go over 6.5 assists. It cashed. He ended with 9 at the end of the first 3 quarters. Jimmy Butler has been much better as a playmaker in the recent weeks. He's gone over this total in his past, like 3 of his past 4 games, something like that. I mentioned he had 9 against the Hawks. In games like these, Jimmy Butler struggled more than I was expecting in the first play-in game against the Hawks. He really couldn't buy a basket, especially around the rim. But his facilitating has kept him going, and he wouldn't necessarily say he had a bad game. Now, against the Bulls, you don't really know how much emphasis to put into stats like these, and it's really not the most important thing in the world. But the Bulls give up the 8th most assists in the entire NBA. Again, it's hard to really give credence to that and where those numbers come from. Just something that I found interesting. I did like the fact that we're getting it for plus 136 odds. And if you wanted to sprinkle on over 9.5 for him to get 10 assists at plus 850, I don't think that's horrible. I'd probably suggest if you're going to go that route, just go the double-double route, because obviously you get the enhanced odds for the rebounds as well. I don't hate if you want to ladder his assists prop though, but my official play is going to be on the over 6.5 at plus 136 odds. And then the last play I found using the oddsjam arbitrage page, we're locking in Rudy Gobert to go over 13.5 rebounds plus 125 odds at FanDuel. Now I get that this one is scary because of the controversy that I mentioned Rudy Gobert is currently embroiled in. But what I will say, the value here is pretty good. Now, again, I mentioned that I found it on the arbitrage page. So an arbitrage is where you can bet both sides of an outcome, right? The over and the under. And the odds are at such a discrepancy that you can literally bet both sides and guarantee profit. Generally, when there's a situation where two sportsbooks are so misaligned that you can literally bet both to profit, one of them has to be the incorrect odds according to where something should be priced, right? Now, honestly, it looks like both of these are outliers compared to the rest of the sportsbooks. I decided to go with the over because, it is still an outlier. Look at where the other sportsbooks price it. Minus 110, plus 107, plus 105. Again, both of these bets look good. I went with the over, plus money. Obviously, if it pays out, if it hits, the payout's higher at plus 125, and it is still an outlier compared to the other sports books. Now, Rudy Gobert, I think a lot of people are going to want to be fading him because of what happened, but the reality is the Timberwolves are going to need him to clean up the glass. Karl Anthony Towns started the first game hot in their first play-in game against the Lakers, cooled off dramatically. He got worn out, and he also got in foul trouble because that's what he does. So they like sticking Rudy Gobert in the middle so they can have Karl Anthony Towns not need to do the dirty work. When that happens, Rudy Gobert is going to have a ton of rebounds to clean up. The Thunder play at a really fast pace, so I do think that there's going to be a lot of just shots in general, hopefully a lot of missed shots as well. And I do think that Rudy Gobert has an advantage on the offensive glass as well. The Thunder don't really have anybody big that can box out Rudy Gobert if he is giving maximum effort on the offensive rebounding. So Rudy Gobert over 13.5 rebounds plus 125 odds at FanDuel as my third and final pick for this video. So if you're tailing these three, comment and let me know. Other than that, remember, like, comment, subscribe, hit me up on Twitter at my Twitter handle you see on the screen here, Jedi Modi, and that's it. So enjoy the two play-in games tonight and have a good one.